Now, to a mass drone and missile attack overnight on Ukraine's capital, Kyiv. At least one person killed, and the latest information we're getting in now is that 31 people have been injured. Also hearing from Ukraine in the last hour that 56 missiles and 650 drones were involved in that attack. Damage across 6 districts of the city, in fact, with residential buildings and civilian infrastructure hit there. One multi-story residential building partly even collapsed, splitting the building there in two. Well, let's get all the very latest then. We're going to cross live to Ukraine, talk to our correspondent Emmanuelle Chaze, who joins us from there. Emmanuelle, first of all, just give us the latest then that you're hearing on these attacks, can you?
Well, the death toll has unfortunately increased this morning as rescuers are still searching through the rubble for survivors. So far, 2 people are known to have died in Kyiv and over 40 have been injured. Among the people injured, there's a 1-month-old child and his mother. You've talked about the extent of the destruction on the capital. There's 20 sites across Kyiv that have been impacted, damaged or destroyed. We're talking about mostly residential buildings, civilian infrastructure. There's also a school, there's also a veterinary clinic, and that's what Volodymyr Zelensky, who talked this morning about this attack, emphasized, that this targets civilians and civilian infrastructure. For the Ukrainian president, this shows that Vladimir Putin has no intention to giving up towards any peace, and he says that that actually shows Russia's position. But Kyiv was not the only place impacted by those strikes. There's 7 people injured in the Kyiv region. In Kremenchuk, there were also energy infrastructures being targeted. So overnight, we've had over 670 drones, 55 missiles, according to Ukrainian air defense, launched against Ukraine, the bulk of which were targeting the capital. But what's also particular about that large-scale attack is that this follows a daytime air raid launched by Russia, where between 8 a.m. and 6 p.m. yesterday, Russia launched more than 800 drones aimed at Ukraine, aimed at saturating and overwhelming the Ukrainian air defense. So really here from the ground, the civilians are really under daily Russian strikes. This hasn't changed since the weekend, since the very short respite in large-scale attacks by Russia.
Emmanuelle, let's talk about the latest on the front lines as well. I mean, over the last month or so, we've heard a lot about it being very much under stalemate, if anything, Ukraine advancing slightly in some places. I mean, is that still the case?
It's still the case indeed, and this actually stands in very sharp contrast with the Russian air raids that we witness here on a daily basis. Russia has nothing to boast about on the front line right now. In fact, in April, it even lost territory as the Ukrainian counteroffensive in the south of the country managed to liberate, to free 120 square kilometers of land. This is the biggest advance by Ukrainian forces since its counteroffensive in the Kursk region back in August 2024. Yet Russia, Moscow, still has demands that Ukraine should give up all of the territory of Luhansk region, all of the territory of Donetsk region, even if it is unable to militarily conquer it at the moment. So Russia is not in a good position on the front line. Its spring offensive is not going well. However, it doubles down on those air raids, on those deadly air raids that we see day in, day out here and across the country.
Emmanuelle, thanks very much. Emmanuelle Chaze, our correspondent, talking to us live there from Ukraine.